Round number 5 of the 2019 all-wheel drive club Brit Ravenel Safari Championship brings us to Bickley in the southwest of England. This event marks the start of the second half of what is turning into a fascinating 2019 campaign. In the first 4 events we've had 4 different winners and a title battle that is separated by just 1 point, with Rod Parker arriving here fresh off a victory at Minehead, just a single point clear of Mark Hones. Last time out at Minehead, it was Parker and Hones that did battle for the event victory, trading times throughout the day. The early advantage went to Hones. He was fastest on the first run, but Parker was able to gradually chip away and eventually overhaul the lead held by the Mini to take the eventual victory. Mike Bakewell was able to join them on the podium and also took his first Class 9 victory of the year. After a pair of podiums from the first 2 rounds, he now has a 5-point championship lead in the class, arriving at Bickley. Chris Cumming came home 4th and also took the Class 5 victory for the second time this year. He showed some good pace throughout the event and will be looking to challenge for an overall podium here this time. Rounding out the top 5 were Jason and Harry Nicol, the 3rd victory of the season in Class 7, and they're now moving comfortably clear of their opposition, over 100 points ahead now in the Class 7 Championship with 4 rounds to go. All of that means then that there is just a solitary point between Parker and Hones at the top, with Chris Cumming now 3rd overall. Mike Bakewell and Jason Nicol are tied for 4th, whilst Philippa Tennant is into the top 10 overall now, despite missing out on the Freelander Challenge victory for the first time this year.
That's right, Andy. Leading the championship by 1 solitary point is Rod Parker. Firstly, congratulations on the win last time. That was a great event. We're here in Tiverton. I've just driven around the course. It's very tight, twisty, technical. It could be more suited to the buggies this weekend. What are your thoughts?
Yes, definitely. As you said, it's tight and technical. I think it's weather dependent, to be fair. If we get the wet and we get the rain, then yeah, the buggy's going to maybe come out on top of the tighter stuff. But we have got some big open stretches out there which you can open the legs up on.
And obviously you've not got it on your own. There are people involved, including your sponsors. Who's sponsoring you this weekend and what are they doing for you?
So we've got Computers for Flooring sponsoring us now for the season for all our entries, and we've got Fuchs Oil who are supplying all the oils, amongst other small cash sponsors. But yeah, it's the team as well. You know, we've had a big huge human effort to get here this weekend. We had an issue with the steering. We had to get parts in for it. The guys were late on the computers trying to sort out the ECU and sort out the steering so we can be here this weekend.
So who's going to win?
Let you know tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, if Parker is going to take the victory this weekend, he will have to once more get the better of Mark Hones, who also caught up with Anthony ahead of the event.
So second in the championship overall is Mark Hones, and your second place at Minehead. We're here on Saturday, the day before the event's about to start. You've not walked around the course yet. I can tell you it's very tight and twisty. Rod Parker's quite concerned about it. For you and your short wheelbase, it should suit you down to the ground. I mean, what are your thoughts going into this round?
Until I've walked here, I don't know. This is the first time we've been here, so I'm quite excited actually.
Yeah, we all are. Well, we can't wait to see the spectacle because it's been tight between you and Rod all season. You've not walked around the course, so you can't comment on it yet. Yeah. But are you expecting the same this weekend?
It'd be great, yeah. It's nice to have a good race with somebody, yeah. Enjoying it.
Yeah. And any work on the car since the last time?
Yeah, we had an issue with the front diff at Minehead. For the last 3 runs, we didn't have front-wheel drive, which was interesting. But that's got sorted, and that's all. We had the shredded the tyres at Minehead, which is unusual.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
4 new tyres on, and we had a slow puncher as well.
So, at the end of the weekend at Minehead, you're doing your quickest times, because you're in 2-wheel drive?
Oh, no, I don't know how that works out. It don't make sense, does it?
No.
Don't to me either.
No, well, you get a bit more power going to the back wheels then anyway,
yeah.
But we can't wait to see how this pans out this weekend. Potentially you could flip the championship on its head. Who knows? The weather could play into it as well.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, Matt. Bye. With that, I'll hand you back up to our commentator, Andy McEwen.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, Mark Hones is into the course now for the first couple of runs of the day and is absolutely flying. It's been a full attack run so far. His first run of the day was good, 6 seconds quicker than anybody else. but in run 2 he lopped another 26 seconds off that time to move into an early lead of 50 seconds after just the first 2 runs of the day. This always was going to be a course that suited the relatively short wheelbase Mini, and so far that certainly seems to be the case. Despite that fairly lowly 10th place finish at the start of the season, it's been a wonderfully consistent year so far for Hones. A win and then a pair of second place finishes in the most recent 3 rounds means that he's very much in contention for the title. He needs to win here though, in hope that Rod Parker struggles. Well, in the early stages at least, it's not Rod Parker who is Mark Hones' nearest rival, it's actually Chris Cumming who's moved into second place after the first 2 runs. His first run was second quickest and then he dropped a little bit of time in run 2, but it's still been a solid start for the Polaris. If ever there was a car that would be suited to this Bickley course, it would be the short wheelbase buggies. And so far that seems to be the case. Chris Cumming is mathematically still in contention for the title as well, just 13 points off the championship lead arriving here at round 5, but he'll need a little bit of luck to go his way over the remaining half of the season to really bring himself back into title contention. Andy Skelly is the early Class 9 leader, 4th place overall after the first 2 runs. Andy already has a Class 9 victory earlier on this year, having won round 3 at Glanusk, but having missed the season opener at Walters Arena, is not really a championship contender at this stage. However, that may free him up to go on an all-out attack to challenge for a second victory of the year this weekend. With no points to really be concerned about, he can maybe shake loose and enjoy himself, and that may be where the faster times come from. He's showing good pace early on and may yet be able to challenge for an overall podium. Andy Skelly's nearest Class 9 rival in the early stages is the points leader Mike Bakewell, but he's already nearly a minute behind after the first 2 runs. Bakewell though arrives here at Bickley defending a points lead. He's only 5 points clear of Bruce Mallett despite his win last time out. Rounding out the early Class 8 podium runners, meanwhile, are Team Parry, running just outside the top 5 overall. They're looking to continue what has been an uber-consistent season for them so far. They've been winless thus far in 2019, but never out of the top 5 in class. As a result of their consistency, they arrive here just 9 points off the Class 8 Championship lead. However, with Mark Hones and Rod Parker being the 2 drivers ahead of them in class, it's perhaps a little unlikely they'll be able to improve on 3rd position in the championship. They will, though, be looking to continue their unbroken run of top 5 finishes this weekend, and that maybe explains their slightly more cautious start to the event, taking it particularly easily through some of the more technical sections. Class 7 has been utterly dominated so far in 2019 by Jason and Harry Nicol. With only 2 cars entered in the class this weekend, many are predicting another victory for the pair. They may have their work cut out a little more this weekend, but they're already asserting their dominance. They're nearly a minute up after just the first 2 runs of the day, and the gap is growing. They scored their first overall top 5 of the season last time out at Minehead, and that will no doubt be the target again this weekend. They're a few positions off that at the moment, but if they keep it clean for the rest of the day, they should be able to pick up some more places. They'll have to cut out little moments like this, though, if they want to achieve that.
It throws everyone's theory out the window.
The competition within Class 7 this weekend will come from this man, Andrian Beer, making his first appearance of the year. His early pace does show promise. He is less than a minute away from the class lead and will no doubt get quicker as he gets to grips with the course and the Lamborghini that he's pedalling. Such is Chris Cummings' early dominance in Class 5 this weekend, it's perhaps a little unlikely that Stuart Williams will be able to get his first victory of the season here at Bickley. He has had some podiums though, so arrives here second in the championship, but some way back, and needs a win as a bare minimum to be able to bring himself back into contention.
Thanks, Andy. Joining me now is Joanne Pullen. Now, Joanne, firstly, congratulations on the podium at Minehead. You got third place.
Thank you.
You're due for another one this weekend if you finish. There's only 3 buggies out. Chris,
Bonus.
Stewart, and yourself. You come very lightly prepared. It's just you. You turned up this morning. You brought 2 wheels and a toolbox, and that's it.
That's it. It's all he sent me with. He said that I wouldn't know what to do with it, so there's no point sending it.
So it's just you and the machine today. How are you getting on with the 1-seater Polaris?
All right, I don't know any different. I only got it because the others were all racing and I was just left to do all the cleaning, so I thought, well, I might as well join them.
And are you enjoying it?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
What's been your best part so far this season?
Finishing and on 4 wheels and not rolling it and beating Matthew in the office.
So you've only just turned up, so I take it you've not seen the course yet?
I haven't got a clue. No, I haven't got a clue where I'm going.
I can tell you it's very tight and twisty technical. There's not many fast bits to get the power down, so it should see the buggies down to the ground, and I'm tipping these for an overall win this weekend.
Not with me, you won't be, but I'll be there somewhere.
All right, well, you've got a lot of preparing to do, so I'll let you get on with that. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you at the end on another podium.
Okay, thanks so much, and good luck to everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, for Joanne, it's been a safe and steady start to the event. 2 clean passes through the first 2 runs, and then it all went wrong with a bad landing over that hump, putting her off the road, meaning that chance of a podium may have gone out of the window. Welcome back to Bickley and the 5th round of the all-wheel drive club Britpark Ravenel Safari Championship. Before we check back in on the front runners, let's take a look at some of the drivers who have not been treated quite so well by this very challenging course. Starting with Peter Medley, whose Renault Clio looked and sounded spectacular and should have been well suited to this particular course. However, damage on the very first run of the day meant we never got to see the true potential of this car. Also out in the early stages was Ian Gwillam, who made it through the first 2 runs before retiring from the event. This has extra significance since he was 2nd place in the Freelander Trophy arriving here at Bickley, his non-finish almost guaranteeing that Philippa and James Tennant are set to walk away with the championship. They were 50 points clear before the event even got underway. More points lost is not good news for Ian. It was an early bow as well for Bruce Mallett, who made it about halfway through the event before retiring. A change of car this weekend means that he's entered into Class 6, not Class 9, in which he was contesting for the overall championship. His retirement is a particular shame since his pace was, perhaps unsurprisingly, bang on. He was contesting for the class lead before his untimely exit from the event. Hopefully we'll see him back out again in Class 6 later on this year. All of that means, though, that Del Wheeler has inherited a fairly comfortable margin at the top of Class 6. He caught up with Anthony down in the paddock.
So it's Class 6 where we've seen most of the action this year, and on top of the table is Del Wheeler. Del Wheeler, you're the owner of the 4x4 driving school. Obviously, you've learned some tips from that, that's why you're top of the championship. We're here at Tiverton. Have you been around the course yet?
Actually, I haven't been around the course. I'm waiting to find out what everyone else tells me, and then I'll judge on that. I like to go out there fresh, you know, so if you go out too early, everyone thinks, oh, this line, that line, but actually it all ruins as soon as the fast boys go over it anyway and have to take a different line. So I've learned just nice and slow and steady wins the race. That's my mantra.
Yep, and consistency as well. That's what's put you at the top of the table this year so far.
Well, consistency is purely down to my team effort, to be honest. I've got Muttley Engineering, Dirty Dirt Racing, and they're the guys who really actually get the car ready for me, and I can just go in, press the button, and just go. You know, So it really is the team rather I don't really touch the car, if I'm being perfectly honest.
And your nearest rival in the class battle isn't here this weekend, which means you can claw a bigger gap.
Yeah, Scott would be winning the championship, obviously, when they do the whole drop around thing, but he's decided this is actually too far for him to come. So fingers crossed I might still be in contention to finally win it at the end of the season. We never know. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and the weather could be pivotal this weekend. We are forecast thunderstorms, but it's beautiful sunshine in a minute. With the ground as it is, it's dry at the moment, but it's going to cause chaos if it does come down.
Well, it's dry at the moment, but it's been a bit of rain. So once we go over, it's all the top there is going to come off. It's going to get nice and skiddy. But that actually suits my car down to the ground. So I'm sort of hoping for another little drop of rain overnight, and then I'll get out and have a nice skiddy course because that suits my driving. Wet and wild, they call it.
Well, we're just running around it in a Freelander. And it is very tight, twisty and technical, and more suited to the shorter wheelbases, so it should shoot this down to the ground.
Well, it suits this down to the ground. Luckily it suits my co-driver Kirsty down to the ground, so me she can shout left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, oh tree.
Does that happen a lot?
Quite a lot. You look at the state of the car, yeah, quite a lot. Last year I was called Flipper, you know, but no, last year I actually put it on his roof here, so for me it's actually about just finishing the day, getting around, getting a nice score and getting those championship points in, basically. That's all it is for me.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Whilst Del Wheeler is enjoying himself towards the sharp end of the Class 6 order, propping up the order at the moment is Roger Baker after a slightly tardy start to the event. Roger has had a second place finish in class back at Emma Vale earlier on this year, but has not really been able to recreate that form since then. This weekend looks like it may be another slightly trying one as he tries to improve his pace and ultimately his overall position. He'll still be enjoying himself though and giving it everything he's got, no doubt. Class 1 is being led by Richard Mayer-Barron, a familiar sight for the man who's won the last 3 rounds on the trot. His day, though, has not been without its dramas. He's been limping around in second gear for much of the morning, after a split in the exhaust has caused the clutch slave cylinder to overheat and stop working. Despite thinking they'd fixed the issue after run 3, it returned once again in run 4, so through the middle part of the day, his pace is not as quick as it could be. It's still good enough to lead the class, though, and healthily at that, as he searches for a 4th consecutive victory, one that would put him well and truly in championship contention. He must, though, at all costs, finish the remaining rounds. The Class 1 ranks are bolstered this weekend by the welcome return of Victoria Vaughan, who we last saw out back at the season opener at Walters Arena. It's been a troubled start to the event though. After a promising pace was shown in the early part of run 1, she then had to pull off in dramatic fashion with mechanical issues towards the end of that opening run of the day. Some investigative work proved that a pipe had burst off within the engine. It needed to be recovered back to the paddock and so had to suffer the maximum time penalty as a result of not making it to the end under their own steam. After a cautious second run to ensure the car was fixed properly, they were then able to steadily up the pace. By the midpoint of the day, they're back into second place in Class 1 and several minutes clear of their nearest rivals. For Luke Dodds and Kieran Jones, their season has been going well. Second place in the Class 1 Championship standings arriving here this weekend, despite not having scored a victory yet in 2019. Sadly though, their 5th round of the championship got off to a slightly lacklustre start and does not help their championship aspirations. A slow first run of the day plus a delay for another car getting stuck on the course bringing out a red flag meant that even after the first run they were nearly 2 minutes behind Philippa and James Tennant, their big title rivals. Once they got back underway, the pace was strong. They've been taking small chunks of time out of them in their fight for second place in Class 1. Those points could prove valuable. They're 5 points back in the championship, and they need to try and close that gap if they can. Philippa and James Tennant have had a solid, if unspectacular, start to their event this weekend. They're running a safe second, but several minutes behind Class 1 leader Richard Mayer-Barron, who's looking good to take a 4th consecutive victory of the season. This pairing, though, are the only other crew to have won in Class 1 this year, and since then have been super consistent, giving them the championship advantage going into the second half of the year. However, they'll be well aware that on drop scores, Richard is still right in contention. And as things stand, it could go into the final 3 rounds with a 3- or 4-way shootout for the Class 1 title. This is a battle that looks set to rage throughout the rest of the season. Another potential podium contender in Class 1 this weekend is Mike Arthur. Mike has had a slightly troubled start to the year, but did finish second last time out at Minehead and is looking to continue that momentum this weekend. So far so good. He was quick in the early part of the day, briefly running in third, but has since slipped back behind Luke Dodds and Kieran Jones. He's only 17 points behind them though, and if he's able to overhaul them, that could have a serious effect on their championship points haul. Well, as competitive as it is in Class 1, let's head down and catch up with the Class 4 goings on. Anthony's in the paddock with the Class 4 leader.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. And leading Class 4 is Paul Hansen. This machine has got some history. It started off life with a Porsche engine. It had a V8, 4.6 petrol V8, and now it's got a 2.8 Isuzu diesel engine in it. And you're winning everything now.
Yeah, it seems to work now with the diesel. I'd like to thank all the sponsors, Britpart, Ravenol. The car's doing very well, fair play. It's an old car, so you've got to keep on top of the maintenance, but yeah, it's doing well.
And not too much power, 120 brake horsepower, plenty of torque, which is what's needed around these courses.
Yeah, that's where the diesel comes into it. The petrol boys will learn one day.
Have you walked around the course yet?
No.
Yeah, you're going to need all the torque you can in this course. It's going to be suited to the shorter wheelbases as well. It's very tight, twisty, technical. If we get any rain, it's going to be really muddy. It shouldn't cause you any problems. You looking for a win this time out?
Hopefully. Yeah, this car's very good in the tight, in the rough stuff. Doesn't really like the long straights. Should be a good day.
And obviously you couldn't have got where you are without a big team behind you.
Yeah, there's a lot of help from the 4x4 driving school. Rod Parker, a lot of help. It's a really good team together.
You got to win?
With a bit of luck. We'll see.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Tony Rooney has been Paul Hansen's biggest rival so far this weekend, and indeed throughout the championship. He's second in points behind Di, arriving here at Bickley. Whilst he's 56 points adrift in the overall standings, on drop scores that gap comes right down, so he is very much in contention. However, as the morning has gone on, Paul Hansen's pace has improved, as we can see visibly here. On one of the runs, he catches his big Class 4 rival and has to find a way past on the course itself. Having safely negotiated him, he has clear road in front and was able to continue putting in quick times. It's right on board with him through a high-speed section. Great onboard action then. Join us after the break for more of the same as we move into the second half of the event. Welcome back to Bickley, where there's been drama in Class 1 of the all-wheel drive club Britpart Ravenol Safari Championship. For Victoria Vaughan had been running a strong second, but sadly a broken radiator has put her out, going into the final part of the day. Sadly, we've lost another Class 1 car as well, in the shape of Mike Arthur. Whilst Mike wasn't quite on the same sort of pace as Victoria Vaughan, he did have the potential to get in amongst the championship contenders. With those two now out of it, that leaves it for the title rivals to contest the podium positions over the rest of the day. Back to the leaders now, and Rob Parker is into second place, having found a way ahead of Chris Cumming. That means he's now chasing down his big title rival Mark Hones. Let's compare their speed over the first half of this run to see if he can continue taking time out of the leader. So far this year, it would appear that Hones' advantage is through the more technical sequences. As soon as things start to open up, that usually is where Rob Parker is able to take time out of him. As you can see though, through this first flat-out section to a hairpin left, it's actually the Mini that's in front, showing that Hones is driving the wheels off that car to try and defend this early event lead. He's about 1 minute up on Rob Parker at the halfway point, which is not hugely secure. One fumble for the event leader could see Parker close right in and challenge for a victory that would potentially make a huge difference in the championship battle. Hones, though, is over a second clear by the time they get to this, one of the most tight and twisty parts of the course. Then, though, things start to open out, down through a dip. This could be Parker's chance to take some time back out of Hones. A slightly strange run down the hill and a bobble in the bottom of the dip means that Parker is definitely faster through this sequence. As they get to the top of the hill, he's taken 3/4 of a second back out of Mark Hones, and will be looking to continue to do the same over the remainder of this run. This is exactly what we saw at Minehead last time out though. Parker took an early lead, Hones was trying to fight back, but the pair are so evenly matched that it's very difficult to recover early lost ground. Could that be what Parker is suffering from here this weekend? He'll be pushing hard though over the remainder of the day to try and do something about Hones to protect his points lead. Behind the top two, Andy Skelly is now into third position and still comfortably leading Class 9 by an ever-increasing margin. Andy, as another driver, very much grateful for the drop score system. A non-finish at round 1 has been followed by 3 podiums, including a victory at round 3. So, despite being over 100 points off the championship leader, with drop scores applied, he'll be an awful lot closer than that. He needs to push hard this weekend though. Only a maximum point score for the next couple of rounds will realistically keep him in contention. Mike Bakewell is still Andy Skelly's nearest competitor in Class 9, but now nearly a minute and a half adrift, despite his very best efforts. Mike's worst finish of the year so far was a 5th place back at Glenusk, meaning he's dropping 96 points more than Andy Skelly is. That's the exact advantage that he has in the points, meaning that in reality, they're virtually level, and it's all to play for the class title. Newcomb may be making his first appearance of the season, but he's straight on the pace, running third within Class 9 as the event reaches the 2/3 marker. Whilst he's third in class, he's some way down the overall leaderboard, but that was only because of a slow second run where he dropped over 3 minutes. All of his subsequent runs were under the 10-minute barrier, meaning that he would have been challenging for a top 5 overall had it not been for that problem. He's definitely a contender for top 5s later this year if he sticks around though, so let's hope we see him out again in 2019. Lizzie Jones is just missing out on a Class 9 podium at the moment, running in 4th position after 7 runs of the event. She is though over 4 minutes behind Lee Newcomb, so just needs to try and bring the car home in one piece to bank the points. She has had a podium result earlier on this season, but a non-finish last time out robbed her of any momentum she'd been building up. A clean and sensible run to the flag is all she needs. Easier said than done though on a course that has already been taking its toll on lots of competitors so far today. Leighton Dodds and Martin Hayward are another driver pairing to have changed classes this weekend. Usually seen running very competitively within Class 6, they've made the switch to Class 9 for this event and have immediately found out just how competitive that category is. They're struggling for pace, but are still inside the top 5, albeit 6 minutes behind anybody else in Class 9. It's a learning weekend for them though, and they're just trying to stay out of trouble if they can. This is a course that bites though, and whilst trying to get used to a new car, it was always likely that mistakes may come. This was the result of their biggest mistake on the second run of the event. They half-rolled and needed recovery from another competitor. This meant that they had to take the maximum time, and that's what dropped them so far down the order. Class 5 is still being headed by Chris Cumming, but he's dropped down the overall leaderboard slightly from where he was earlier on. Having run as high as 2nd after the opening 2 runs, he's now down to 5th, but still comfortably ahead within his class. Sadly though, with Mark Hones and Rod Parker looking set to fill out the top steps of the podium, this will probably put paid to Chris Cumming's overall title hopes. That means that the rest of the season will be spent contesting the Class 5 Championship, in which he already held a comfortable margin, one that's set to increase if he can hold on to the class victory today. Stuart Williams is still hanging on to the 2nd place in Class 5, pushing hard and valiantly trying to keep tabs on Chris Cumming. After scoring just 50 points from the season opener at Walters Arena, Stewart is therefore dropping 48 points more than Chris Cumming, the championship leader, is. That means that, whilst Chris will still hang on to the points lead, it will be by less than 10 points, making every point valuable in the fight between this pair for class honours. Therefore, Stewart needs to keep pushing. He's dropping a point at the moment to Chris Cumming and needs to try and do something about that, or at least make sure that the damage is limited at just the 1 point lost. Oh, but he's off into a hedge and onto his side, and that was a mistake that Stuart Williams could little afford. Thankfully, it looks as though they're going to be able to rock the car back onto its wheels relatively quickly, and let's hope not too much damage has been done. He'll be able to recover, and that could have been an awful lot worse. It has, though, pretty much put paid to any chance he had of catching Chris Cumming for the class lead. Now he needs to ensure that he gets to the finish and banks the points for 2nd place. Sadly, Tony Rooney's event is over though, making it through the first 5 runs before being forced to call it quits due to a mechanical failure. That's a shame because he was showing some decent pace and we were enjoying his scrap with Dipole Hansen. Speaking of Paul Hansen, it's safe to say that he's had an up and down weekend so far. He arrived here at Bickley with an already damaged engine, which led to a slightly slow start to the event. On the second run he lost a fan belt, but managed to gain some time back, and run 3 was going well until he came across Leighton Dodds, who he helped to get back onto his wheels. After that, he was looking for a safe and sensible run through the middle part of the event, especially after the demise of Tony Rooney. Sadly though, he was not to get his wish, as we're about to find out. An innocuous looking run on at a tight right-hander gets the car stuck, and he needs assistance to get back underway.
Yeah, give us a push.
Having got out of the rut though, his day did not get any better. The incident had snapped a half shaft, and in trying to get back going again, he was risking doing more damage to the car than good. After checking on the damage and realising that they still had a damaged engine, they decided to call it a day, meaning there are no longer any Class 4 cars running here this weekend. At least they won't lose any championship points, and they will be able to maintain their points advantage. Well, it's been a dramatic afternoon so far, and the final part of the event is just moments away. Join us after the break to see what happens next. Welcome back to Bickley, where sadly Paul Hansen's attempts to get his car back to the pits have been in vain. They're going to have to call it a day so as to try and limit the damage being done to an already wounded engine. Another fairly high-profile retirement was that of Adrian Beer, who'd been running as high as second within Class 7 earlier on, tragically retiring with just 2 runs to go. Similarly, Lizzie Jones made it through 8 out of the 10 runs today before having to retire the car with mechanical problems. That makes this her second non-finish in a row. She'll be looking to bounce back next time. Well, before his untimely demise, we were able to stick an onboard camera in the car of Paul Hansen. Let's use this as an opportunity to compare his speed with that of the Class 6 car of Class 6 leader, Del Wheeler. The pair of cars will have different strengths and weaknesses. It may well be that it's Hansen's car that was the quicker, but it's Wheeler's that has got to the end in one piece and is challenging for an overall top 10 result. Let's ride on board and enjoy the view from both cars. At the split, over 2 seconds separate them in the favour of Paul Hansen, whose car did have the edge in overall speed. Sadly, speed is only one part of what is necessary to do well in these sort of events. We need the car to last. Sadly for Di, that wasn't what happened. Back to the leaders now though, and into the final couple of runs of the day. It's looking good for Mark Hones. He's now over a minute clear of Rod Parker, and the winner from Ebbw Vale earlier on this year looks set to become the first double victor of 2019. Coming into this weekend, he was just a single point behind Rod Parker in the overall championship standings. If things finish as they are now, they'll be equal on points with 3 rounds to go. He will also move 1 point clear of Rod in the Class 8 Championship, both of which are battles set to rage right to the end of the season. Let's ride on board one last time then with Mark Holmes. Mark Holmes has given this everything through the middle part of the day. He has been quicker than Mark Holmes, but he's just run out of time and very nearly threw it all away with a big moment through the bumpy section. It looks like second will be the best that he can do though. It's going to be mighty tight in the championship standings after this one. For Andy Skelly though, it's a rather more comfortable class advantage that he holds in Class 9. He's now several minutes clear of Mike Bakewell and looking good to take the class victory, what would be his second in the last 3 events. Perhaps even more impressively though, this will be his first outright podium of the year. Things are definitely going the right way for Andy as we move into the business end of the season. For Chris Cumming, it was a very promising start to the event, and whilst he's dropped down to 5th place overall, and with it more than likely lost his hopes of the overall championship victory, he's still going to end up a fairly comfortable Class 5 victor, meaning that he will be in a very comfortable position in the championship going into the final 3 rounds. For Harry and Jason Nicol, a 4th victory in Class 7 was almost guaranteed as long as they got to the end in one piece. Not only have they managed to do that, but they've also secured themselves another top 10 finish overall in what's been a superb weekend for the pair. Whilst they haven't yet mathematically wrapped up the Class 7 title, it's looking difficult for anyone to beat them now. Whilst Del Wheeler may have lost his little head-to-head with Paul Hansen earlier on, he's not lost out on his Class 6 honours. The second victory is now just 1 run away. It's been at times a challenging day. A spin on the opening run and a sliced tyre later on in the morning was just the start of what was an eventful 5th round of the championship for him. On more than one occasion, he turned rescue driver, towing drivers that had become stuck partway through the course, including Paul Hansen. In doing so, his car overheated and was very nearly out of the running. Thankfully, they coaxed it back into life, and he looks as though he's going to be able to bring it home with another class victory. Speaking of drivers who have had eventful days, the same is definitely true of Richard Mayer-Barham, whose Class 1 victory looked as though it may have been in doubt towards the end of the day. After a reasonably uneventful middle part of the event, he hit a tree stump with the passenger side front wheel on run 8, sending them off the road and up a grass bank. That caused him to snap the hub bolt, meaning he was now left with just 2 to get through the rest of the day. Then, on the 9th run, he hit the very same stump, damaging another bolt, meaning it really was a case of coaxing the car to the flag and hoping that it stayed together. Thankfully, it looks as though it will, and another Class 1 victory will catapult him back into championship contention. For Philippa and James Tennant, it looks as though they're going to finish second in Class 1, but more importantly take their 4th victory of the season in the Freelander Trophy. That's made all the more impressive by the fact that they hadn't even seen the course prior to running it this morning. They were attending a wedding on the Saturday, so the first time they saw it was run 1 on Sunday morning. Given how rough the course has proven to be, it's a miracle they got through it unscathed. It's been a good day for Philippa as well. Having sat out the first few runs so that Father James could take the wheel, she then got into the car through the middle part of the day, and it was the first time that she matched and even beat some of James's times. Now, she'll be hoping to continue that run of form throughout the rest of the season. Rod Parker, meanwhile, is into his final run of the event and is giving it absolutely everything, as he has done all day long. He'll no doubt be ruining the time lost in the first couple of runs of the day, and we may see a slightly more aggressive Rod Parker out of the blocks through some of the later events this year. Fair credit to him though, he's pushed hard all day and never has given in. It's just not quite going to be enough come the end of the day. So in the end, just about 45 seconds separate Hones and Parker, with Hones taking his second victory of the year. Andy Skelly is third and wins in Class 9, whilst Chris Cumming and Jason and Harry Nicol are also Class winners. Richard Mayer-Barron takes the Class 1 honours at the end of the day. Championship standings wise then, it is now level at the top. Rod Parker and Mark Hones tied on points as we head into the final 3 rounds of the championship.
So after 40 miles around this tough and gruelling event, the winner, finally, Mark Hones. Congratulations, talk us through it.
Thank you very much. It was a great course. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. First time we've raced here. And after walking it, I thought, man, that's pretty good. But it took us 3 or 4 runs really to get into it to understand what was happening, because that was very rough out there. So we made a few adjustments to the suspension, and it obviously seemed to work.
And of course got cut up quite a bit throughout the day, which then developed all these sharp rocks which were underneath it, and that's when the tyre punches came in. You've gone through 2 tyres already. Yeah,
I think we knocked them off the rims. There was a couple of big stumps on the side of the track, and we gave them a good hard whack on both occasions. Yeah. There was half the tree stuck in the side of the tyre.
Yeah. And we did think that this course is going to be suited more to the short wheelbase cars, which is where you've had the advantage, and you thoroughly took advantage. So congratulations, go and enjoy the win.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Well, Rod, you put everything into that last run. It wasn't quite enough, but second place overall. How are you feeling? You look very hot, by the way.
Yeah, it's been a hot day, really hot day, and a bit tired, you know, but we've been fraught with problems all day. You know, we've had issues with the intercom, bent wishbones, flat tyres. Anything can go wrong went wrong today, but still pleased to pull in second place.
And you just ripped off the rear end of your car as well.
I think I left on a tree somewhere, pushing that extra 10 seconds.
And what it means in the championship, it's flipped how it started this weekend, so you're now second and Rod is now first just by 1 solitary point. So it's still all to play for going into the latter stages of this season.
Yeah, I mean, Mark had the legs on me today. I think his car is definitely lower centre of gravity and shorter wheelbase, and for the tight technical stuff we had today, then he definitely had the legs on me. We had not enough open stuff for me to really let it go, you know?
Yeah. So we've got Ilfracombe next. What are your thoughts on that?
I like Ilfracombe.
Is it going to suit you or him?
I think it'll suit us both, but watch my back end in Ilfracombe. He'll be following us quite quickly.
Right, well, I'll let you go take a breather and go and enjoy the second place. Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Anthony.